Hello there, how's it going? So yesterday, which was Saturday the 4th of May, I went along to Play Expo in Manchester. And just before I went, I kind of had that last minute plan to make a video like the previous arcade club video I did a couple of months back now. You know, just something of me walking around and just random footage. But I ended up not getting all that much footage, to be honest. I did a quick walk around at the beginning and then put my camera away and barely took it back out again. You know, I was happily just walking around without the camera out all the time. Footage I did take, as you can probably see, is very shaky as well. I was holding it at chest level. I didn't think this would make a particularly good standalone video. So I guess you're getting this voiceover instead. Anyway, Play Expo took place in Manchester Central Complex, which was converted from the old Manchester Central Railway Station. So it's just like this one big hall with a high glass and steel roof. If you've ever been to an old major railway station, you probably know what it's like. So you go along and it's like 20 quid to get in, and the vibe I instantly got from the place was like a much larger version of one of those retro games fairs that you get around nowadays, because that's what this essentially is. Going through the main entrance, and the trader stores were not right at the front. There was a land section and a modern game / career section first, but then there was this big trader area with all the usual faces you see at these places, and to be fair, that's why I went. But let me get my complaint up front first, and I suppose this is more of an issue of my expectations than actually anything else. I went to Play Expo Manchester in 2017 when it was in that convention centre. What's it called? I forget the name of it now. It's the one next to the Trafford Centre, and they had quite a few stalls that had like all sorts of 8 and 16-bit owned computers there, you know, Spectrum and Amiga I might have seen, you know, but they had like Commodore and Amstrads if you want to buy them and what have you. And I ended up with this big bag full of Spectrum and Amiga games, you know, none of which were great or rare, but, you know, cheap enough. And like I say, they had all like 8-bit computers for sale and all that, so I enjoyed having a dig that time round. This time, however, there was none of it whatsoever. It was all, you know, the major consoles that you'd expect, your Nintendos and your Segas and so on and so forth. And have I missed something? Was plastic wrapping all the box games, and quite a few of the unboxed ones for that matter, just kind of become the norm? I mean, I assume that's so they can charge over the odds for the games, and I wouldn't really mind it if it was just the real nice condition ones that got this treatment, but I saw so many so-so games plastic wrapped for far too much money. Even the Amiga games I did eventually spot got this treatment, and I didn't really want to pay like 30 quid for a rough around the edges copy of Cannon Fodder wrapped up in plastic. Why? But like I say, that's got to be more to do with my expectations than anything, I suppose. Let's face it, the stalls were getting plenty of traffic. I saw people buying plenty of stuff, so, you know, what do I know, eh? Now, directly opposite to the left of the traders were all the arcade machines, and then the game library, which is where you could rent out games to play on like PlayStations and Xboxes and that, which is a nice idea. I've seen that around again before. And beyond that was all pinball machines, and they all crammed all day, as you might expect. Same goes for the arcade machines, and there was a couple of nice machines in with the arcade. I didn't actually play all that much, because of how busy it was. You could see in the footage how busy it was. And, you know, you can emulate most of these. It's not quite the same, but, you know, and obviously they got the big sitting cabinets like Outrun and Star Wars and that you can't get elsewhere, so they're always fun for a quick go if you're willing to wait. I definitely made time for the pinball machines. I always did, because there's such a physicality to pinball that you don't get with, you know, Pinball Arcade's really good if you've ever played that, but it's just not the same as actually being there. And in particular, I saw this Demolition Man machine, and I flipping love that movie, but also the machine looked really interesting as it was wider than a normal machine, and the flipper buttons, instead of being on the side like normal, they were on these like gun-like triggers on top. But it kept resetting mid-game when I tried this, which was a shame, you know, just powering off and then back on. Needed some servicing, I guess, but such is pinball ownership these days, I suppose. But they did actually have some newer pinball machines there, the ones that you see now at the video screens in the headboard. I've seen plenty of these around, but they are always eye-catching. The Batman one stood out for me. I've not seen it before, and it was full of all fun clips from the 60s TV show. And the Iron Maiden one next to it was rather boring in comparison. Maybe it would be better if you could hear the music, I don't know, but it felt like a waste of a screen. That Batman one I can definitely recommend, that was a lot of fun. Back to complaints, I guess. At the back of the hall was the live stage, and they were pushing the Nightmare Live and Dark Room shows over the tannoy quite a bit. But those cost extra to attend, so you got your 20 quid, and then it was like 10 or 15, I think, to get into these shows. And I suppose you got to pay the performance of these shows, because they're normally their own standalone touring shows, you know, that you can go see. And they did have a few talks to go and see on that stage as well, but nothing really stood out to me. Guess I'm just spoilt with EGX, which is, you know, they've got this great program of developer sessions running all day and live stage entertainment, and you could spend the entire weekend there just doing that if you wanted. Play Expo, on the other hand, felt quite weak to me, especially since that 20 quid entrance fee feels quite steep as it is. You know, your mileage may vary, I suppose. I must point out that, you know, I've been doing community moderation for Eurogamer for like 10 years now, so I'm probably a little bit biased because I know the entire team there, and I know a lot of the Gamer Network guys who actually put on EGX, so perhaps take what I say with a pinch of salt. There's definite bias there, but yeah, it would be better if I compared it with EGX Resd, which is the smaller show that they do in London's Tobacco Dock. But I must admit I've never been to that one, so all I've got to go on is the bigger show. Oh yeah, so the best part of Play Expo for me was actually meeting some people. First off, I met David Pleasance, who was the managing director of Commodore UK during the Amiga's heyday. And the Amiga was basically the kind of defining computer of my childhood, of my early teens, you know, so it was kind of a big deal for me to meet him, and I didn't know he was going to be there, so it was kind of like, I was walking through the trader area, and all of a sudden I saw his book and looked up, and it was him, and it was like, oh my god. And so I bought the book, and he signed it for me, and I did the old, oh, can you make that out to eBay joke, and he completely no-sold it like an absolute pro, so God bless him, he's probably heard that one a few times, kind enough to pose for this selfie, so yeah, that was pretty great. I also met Mike Daly as well, who was creator of Lemmings. He made the original design for the Lemmings and, you know, programmed the first two games. He was there to show off the ZX Spectrum Next, you know, the new Spectrum that they've been producing. But I went along and I told him, hey, I was kind of obsessed with Lemmings back in my early teens, and all he could say to that was, oh, sorry. I didn't get a selfie with him though, I bottled it unfortunately, but never mind. So like I say, Mike was there to show off the ZX Spectrum Next, which is like the new machine that's being made, which plays original ZX Spectrum games, but is also a lot more powerful and can throw sprites and colours around like the Spectrum never could. It's a beautiful machine. It runs off SD cards if you want it to. And I actually got hands-on with this thing and got to touch it. And, well, the first thing I played was Manic Miner. You know, it was kind of proof that it's the Spectrum. It just felt right. And then I got to try a couple of other games. Baggers in Space, which is like, it starts off like Jetpack and then goes in all sorts of directions. And also, what was it called? Warhawk, a shoot 'em up, a vertically scrolling shoot 'em up, which was throwing enemies around like you would never have seen on the Spectrum before. I really enjoyed that. Like I say, I got to speak to Mike really briefly, so that was definitely the kind of highlight of the show for me, getting hands on with that machine. And then just before I left, I ran into Nostalgia Nerd and Octavius Kitten, who are two retro game YouTubers that I watch. So that was nice. So another book bought. I bought Nostalgia Nerd's book, which he signed for me again. And I caught a quick selfie with Octavius. I wanted to get one with Nostalgia Nerd as well, but by that point he was already talking to someone else, and I didn't want to disturb them, you know, so... Oh well. That was a nice 5-minute chat I had with the two of them, and they both seemed lovely, which is a pleasant surprise. So I've met a couple of YouTubers in the past from that scene who have been quite standoffish. I'll not mention any names, I don't want to drag anyone, but you know. So it was nice to actually meet a couple of people who were so happy to talk. So thanks guys, I enjoyed that. And at that point it was time to go, because I'd been there about 3 hours, and the parking, because it was Manchester Central, was really flipping expensive. I guess all in all, I had a good time there, despite my gripes, of course. Really, it was only the traders that I was a bit disappointed with. I'm always up for more retro game shows, so I will go to Play Expo Manchester again. I'll look out for it next year, I think, and go again, give it another shot. Not really for the arcade machines, because to be honest, the company that did the arcade machines there and the game library and the pinball machines is the same company that does it for EGX as well. And I always go to that, so I'm not short on playing arcade games at any point. You know, I get my yearly fix in. But yeah, I just had a pleasant time, you know, just wandering around for a few hours and meeting people and talking and seeing what I could see. So I'll be up for it again. So I'll leave it there. Sorry for waffling on for God knows how long it's been, but, you know, been playing around my mind for the last day. If you have listened and stuck around, thank you very much. Kept the volume down because everybody is in bed at this point. If you'd be so kind to leave a like and subscribe to my channel, that'd be awesome. And hopefully I'll see you again at ta-ra.